Hello. How's everybody doing? I saw Kronborg said hello. How you doing? Hope you're. I hope you're having a good Saturday. And I hope the music's alright as well. Hope it's not too loud, and I'm not too loud either. I've got the microphone just above my head, so let me know if it's too loud, and I can always bring it down a little bit, or bring the music up a little bit. Music good? Insert mic. Oh, good to hear. Good to hear. So what's been up on a Saturday for you then? Are you an hour ahead? I don't know if it's 8 o'clock for you or 7 o'clock for you over there. So, before we start, I'm gonna just open. It's 8 PM Denmark right now. Oh, cool. I should be done. I'm hoping to be done by like 9:30, something like that. That's what I'm hoping for, at least. So, but before we start, I want to say thank you to Mr. Andy Holland. So I got this little thing in the post earlier from Andy. And I already opened it up, but this is so I've got a little stocks pad. Let's see if I get it up off the shelf here. I've got a little stocks pad, and so it's just a little USB-C pad, but it's a hot swap. So there's little hot swap sockets inside of here. So I'm currently breaking in some T1s on this, but Andy did a little, maybe not even a group buy. He bought a bunch of these. And so these are in the style, or a similar-ish style to how Keycolt do their plates. So this is an FR4 plate, what you would use for PCB material. And if you can see, he's given it a nice. I think the camera's struggling a little here. It's struggling a little. Doesn't seem to know where to get the focus here. Come on. Is it too bright for you? There you go. So you can just about see that there's like a silver outline on each of them. And so he's been able to put a little silver outline around each of the switches and where the switches would sit and the stab holes. And I'm hoping, for those that are joining the Ace of Spades group buy, I'm hoping to get some little plates like this done. And Andy's helping me out with that at the moment, so that's to give you an idea of what it might look like. So that's my little stocks pad. But now for the bigger bit. So what we've got here, and it's why Kronborg is in the chat at the moment, is this is what was my old KBD8X. This is now Kronborg's new KBD8X. He bought it off me. Oh, let me just turn that down a little. Maybe go for a different one. I don't want any voices. Is that loud enough? There you go. So this is my KBD8X. Oh, sorry, Kronborg's KBD8X. Got me flustered there. And so basically what I've done is I've sold this to Kronborg, and I've agreed that I'm going to desolder it and build it with switches of his choosing. And so there is, I think they're on the top of my PC at the moment, just over there, are the ink switches that I'm going to be swapping this with. But first, I need to take this apart and desolder it entirely. So I decided that it would be a good idea to do a little stream of just taking it apart, showing you how to do it, and showing you realistically how easy it can be with the right tools, mainly the SSO2, to be able to just strip the board down, take the switches out, and go from there. So the switches that are in here are creams with UHMWP stems currently. They're really nice. They're going to be going into my next build, and and hopefully what the case will be is next week, by the time everything gets here, I'll be able to build this board for Kronborg. So he's sending over, I've already got the switches, we bought the switches for him. He's going to be sending over me some stabs and caps. So I'm going to build the board next week. So let's get started. So I'm going to take this apart, so I'm just going to decap it entirely. The caps do come off incredibly easily because the UHMWP stems aren't particularly, they haven't got a particularly good hold, to say the least. They've got a great sound, but not a particularly good hold on the stems. So some hold a little better than others. Most of the time you can just pull them up with your fingers. Yeah, so later this week I'm going to be oh sorry, I forgot, he's sending over some springs as well. So once the springs and everything are over, I'm going to be lubing his switches. So he's got some V2 Gateron inks that we bought, and I'm going to be lubing them and spring swapping them for him, and it'll just allow him to get that perfect customization for his board that he's wanting. Hope nothing is too bright for you guys. You can always play around with the exposure on the camera, but it looks about right. If you do have any questions whilst I'm desoldering, what I'm doing, why I'm doing something, just ask. It is an educational stream at the end of the day if you want it to be. Or you can just sit back and chill. Ooh, got to run up. So Kronborg, what keycap set are you going to be putting onto this? I think you might have mentioned it, but I've completely forgotten. Oh, I need a mouse pad. Oh, so I bought one of these. I just don't want to be desoldering on it because it's brand new. I don't want to wreck it. So it's sitting on my wife's chair. The amount of times that I've I'll take it off when I lube the switches as well. But oh, Gooty's here. Hey Gooty, how you doing? So Kronborg, what switches? Switches, what stem? What keycaps? Get there anyway. Enjoy PPT Grayscale for now, but eventually I'd like to get something else. Oh, so what sort of thing are you looking? What sort of something else are you looking for? Perhaps a GMK set or cat set or something? Oh, I'm good, Gucci. How are you? How you doing? How you doing on this fine Saturday? Do need to just give this board a quick down because there's some little bits and pieces on the plate. Which I have to say, the plate is really nice on this board. It's got like a matte finish to it, and it doesn't scuff up or anything. So I've been looking at a few GMK sets, Mizu, Olivia, Cafe. Yeah, all great keycap sets to be fair. You're probably, I mean, there's going to be a huge influx of Olivia stuff fairly soon when Olivia plus ships. Have a good stream. Oh, you're not staying? Oh, that's a shame, Goots. Yeah, GMK Olivia plus will be shipping relatively soon, and I believe it was one of the best-selling keycap sets we've had in a long time. So it's probably going to be particularly popular, and because of that, there'll be an awful lot of because of that, there's likely going to be an awful lot of people selling it as soon as it gets there, as soon as they get it. So, okay. Oh, there's a new Olivia set in the making. I'll have to take a look at that. Yeah. So following on from the popularity of just normal GMK Olivia, She did Olivia ++, and so I believe that she did a dark version of the alphas, and kept the same coloured mods, but you could also buy a light coloured set of it as well if you really wanted to. So it's a really nice looking set. I nearly bought it myself, but other stuff came up at the time, so I've got Cat Atlantis and Cat Lucky Jade coming. So you can see just how easy those stems are. So that's the board taken off. There's a few bits and pieces. So let me just get my where is my brush? Got a little brush. I'll just rub it down quickly. The brush is in here somewhere. Where is the brush gone to? I've literally got a drawer filled with stuff. What is the switch on the cap lock? Oh, so these are MX locking switches. I'm a massive fan of locking switches. So in QMK you can, that one's not locking particularly well. In QMK you can get it so that when it's depressed, caps lock is on. When it's unpressed, caps lock is off. Quite easy. I've become a massive fan of them. I've actually just bought 5 more of them for an extortionate price, but I'm more than happy to buy them. Not to many people's tastes. Not many people actually like locking switches, but I slap 180 gram springs into them, and it makes it stupidly difficult to mess it up. So, hey Jampot, how you doing? Oh, Jampot, I've got something to show you actually. I think you were one of the people that said they were interested in the FR4 plates, didn't you? So let me just move this out of the way because it's going to take the focus. So Andy sent me this, but this is a Keycult inspired little plate, and so this is FR4, but this is what I'm going to be attempting to do with the Ace of Spades plate. I'm going to go for a little bit more outline, like the Keycult style, a little bit thicker, but yeah, that's what's going to be on the Ace of Spades. So this is clear now, so I'm going to give it another clean before I do anything else. I don't remember if that was me, maybe Reese. Yeah, there was a bunch of people that said that they were interested in FR4, but I know that you're in the Ace of Spades group buy, so maybe I can sway you to having one as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to just flip this over, and we are going to take the screws out here. So I've got my Allen key tool there, but I don't think I'm going to use it. I think I'll use this instead. Too small. Just right. I bought an extra PCB, and if I do get an FR4 plate, I might try it out. Yeah, I would definitely say give it a try, because it's a good material for if you like flex. I mean, it's not to everybody's taste, like that much flex, but yeah, you never know, you might like it. How does the sound compare to so CF in photography terms is compact flash, carbon fibre. It's got a very similar sound, except it is just a little bit more flexible. Kronborg, I looked at the spec of the KBD8xII again. It's quite heavy. Yeah, it is relatively heavy actually. Out of all my boards, it's got a decent bit of weight to it. I mean, it's not going to be as heavy as the Norbar at the top here, but it's definitely going to be heavier than, say, like the text cases that I've got here. Don't know the exact weight, but it's got a decent enough heft that it's not moving on the desk. So, yeah, compact flash. Yeah, it's. I've been a photographer for years and years, and you get used to people writing SD and compact flash and CF. it just becomes second nature to read it as that. So as you can see, it's got a beautiful weight to it. This and it's got the exact same weight plate material. It's like an ever so slightly matte sort of finish to it. Really beautiful, really beautiful though. But again, it just doesn't mark. It's got like a coating over the top of it that stops it from getting fingerprints and all of this sort of stuff. So I'm just gonna take it apart so you can see how well this this foam has been doing. See how indented it is with the switches and everything that's there. It's quite impressive actually. So we no longer need this part of the board, so we're just going to put it off to the side for now. So this is the internal bits of it. So what we're going to do is it just uses a Phillips head. So we're just going to take the plate and the PCB completely out. Put that in there with those. Oh, did you see the Keycult Instagram with the number 3? Yes, I did. Absolutely incredible. They've done a beautiful design on that. It's very different to what I expected them to go with. I expected them to go with something a bit more conservative than that. But it's great to see. Great to see them like pushing what to be fair, what Salvan does. So really excellent looking, and that purple as well. I know that. So I can give Jay's colour away a little bit here. He's gone for that purple on the Ace of Spades. So he'll be getting a very similar sort of colour to it. You never know. Ace of Spades might be the next Keycult. Okay, I might need to get a pair of tweezers here to get these out because they aren't coming out easily. Yeah, definitely looks interesting. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. It's a definitely a more out there design than I imagined that they would go with. Oh, one screw here. There we go. It's nice to see them going with an interesting design like that. I mean, their other boards are stunning, and they've got such detail inside them. But I really wasn't expecting something like that. Got a wave on the side of it. If only I could ever afford one, eh? I could actually just lift the PCB up and out here. But keep an eye on the little rubber washers. So I installed little rubber washers into this. I got some spares just in case I do lose any. But I installed some little rubber washers to make it almost burger mount. I found out that Nick has exactly the same choice as me, by the way, even the cable. Yeah, there's a few people that have got exactly the same stuff. To be fair, what was the options did you choose? I can't remember them off the top of my head. Because you never know, you might have the same options on one of the boards as me. Okay. because my options were, so the one that's probably closest to yours was I went black. I have got a copper plate and black cable, black limo, and I can't remember. Black is black, I think it was that I went for the. It's either black is black, or I've gone for the paracord. Black paracord. I can't remember which. I got everything. I got black everything basically, CF and extra PCB. Oh, nice! I've got the PCBs over the side there. I'll show you one. Show you one in a little bit. So we don't need this top anymore, seeing as we are literally just going to be working on this section. So this is the PCB. You can see that. You can see it's got a nice like matte finish to the top of it, and it's got these flex cuts, and you can feel the flex ever so slightly. It's got downwards pointing LEDs, which is the interesting bit. I guess that's more for the polycarb version of this rather than the full aluminium one. But let's flick the soldering iron. So I'm just going to put this over here for now. Let's just move this off to the side. There you go, off to the side. So what we're going to be using for my soldering iron is I've got my old trusty Hakko 888D, I think it is. FX. Well, the iron itself is the FX888D, which is a beautiful iron. So let's just put these in the drawer. Move the keycaps out of the way too. Don't need those anymore. So what we're doing is I've got the iron up to 320 degrees currently, and I'm just going to heat the pad and use the SSO2. I have got some dry lube off to the side in case I do decide that I need to lube the SSO2 later. And I've also got a reel of extra solder in case I need it. Let's just catch up with what you're saying though. I still haven't decided if I want stepped caps lock or not. I go with stepped caps lock because I love the aesthetic of the stepped caps. Saw the blackest black on Pexon's Instagram and it looked fantastic, so I went with that. Yeah, good choice, good choice. Yeah, I saw some pics of in the channel of the PCB. Did Andy design it? Yes, yes. I wasn't going to get anywhere near designing a. Move this out of the way. I wasn't going to get anywhere near designing a PCB myself. I was more than happy to do the plate and the case and everything, but PCB design is a little bit too far. So let's start over here. So all I'm doing here is just getting the solder to the point where it's melting and then sucking it up. And as soon as it's sucked up, it gets caught in here, albeit it's normally a little bit better. I think it's because I've been doing a little bit of other stuff recently, so the iron is the solder sucker's got a little bit of remnants in there. And so the idea is that I'm just going to make my way along bit by bit and just get up all of the solder. I'm going to miss this one next to the RGB LED, just so that I can come back to it in a little bit. I just don't want to be melting any LEDs. It's never a good idea. And so you can see that I've got my little pot of old solder. I've had loads of it in the over time, so. You already did a smashing job with the with those renders and the design, of course. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, the renders took a long time, but the actual design of the case was the main back-breaking bit of it. Renders are doing actual rendering is just more fun rather than anything. It takes a little bit of time to get a nice render done, but sort of one of those things that you can sit there, play about with, give it a try, do something else, you know. So I'm just going to add a bit of solder to this one because I could see that quite easily that this wasn't clear. There we go, that's clear now. There's very little solder on this one anyway. Sorry if I hide it there for a second. So like I said before, I am going to be streaming the rebuild of this board. So this board is for Kronborg, who's in the chat, and he has bought some, well, to be fair, I don't know if it's a he, I'm assuming, but they have bought some Gateron inks, V2 Gateron inks, and I'm going to be putting them, I'm going to be spring swapping and lubing them and putting them into this fairly soon. I'm indeed a he. Okay, thank you for confirming. I shouldn't be so quick to jump to the fact that you're a he. Perfect. I'm going to have to melt down everything that's in that pot sooner or later. There's an awful lot of solder in there now. Yeah, I have to say, Kronborg, you got very lucky with buying those Gateron inks, by the way. I haven't seen anywhere in stock for a decent price now for a little while. And Met Market's only going up as well. Yeah, it just happened to be one of those things that always search eBay. Just give eBay a little quick little search. You never know. There's always some random stuff on eBay that I've found over the years. I mean, there was a guy that was selling Novatouch sliders for the longest time on there. And every now and again, SA caps come up, DSA like proper nice ones come up. I've seen DSA Honeywell and stuff like that pop up on there. It's always worth checking out. So, and if you're going to be looking for like GMK caps, you might want to just keep a little look out, because sometimes GMK caps come up. Normally they are. People know what they are and they go up there for silly money, but there's some Red Samurai I think on there at the moment. Yes, I'm glad that you found that you were as well. Otherwise you would have probably had mismatched stabs, because I do have these Zeal stabs on here. I do want to use them for other stuff, but you could have probably had one, but it would have been a bit mismatched and not that great really. But I'm glad you managed to get some. And it's good that he's shipped them out as well. I'm really hoping that they're going to be here next week. But if they're not, I do have another board up on the shelf. It's the one here to desolder, because I've decided to move my switches about a bit. I've got some tangerines coming. And I've obviously got these, but there's a couple of boards that I've got that are on their way. I've got the Ace of Spades. I've got two. I don't know if I told you, Jampot, I've actually got two Ace of Spades. Well, hopefully two Ace of Spades. if Salvan has enough for a full second one, he's ordered extra material. If there is enough for a full second one, I'm going to be getting a navy blue one of it as well. I heard about that, yeah. Yeah, I'd already obviously already got the copper plate instead of the brass one, but I'd also bought a carbon fibre plate as well. And so sort of what my hope is going to be is that the navy blue board is going to be a bit of a sort of a tester board as such. I've got a hot swap PCB for it, and I've got the hot swap PCBs set up there. I haven't started soldering them because I haven't got the hot swap sockets just as of yet. There's a slight mix up, and they're going to be coming in MechBoard's next package now, which is a little bit of a pain, but I have got some hot swap sockets coming, and so the second board is going to be my hot swap tester build. So because the problem that I've now got is that I've now got more switches and keycap sets than boards. So I'm either going to have to sell some keycap sets and switches, which realistically, if I try these tangerines and absolutely love them, and I already love the T1s, and I already love Holy Pandas, and I've obviously got these here, and then I'm stacking too many really nice options. But I'm hoping that I might be able to sort of rotate them about a bit and try some different stuff out. So what are you going to be putting on? What are you going to be putting on yours, Jampot? Are you going to be going down the route of OG Cherry, or are you going to be a newer keycap set? On my black board, I'm actually going to be taking the white on black that is there and putting that onto the. Going onto it instead. And also, what switches are you thinking about? Are you going to be going Vint Blacks, or are you going to be going with something like H1s or something along those lines? And so for those who don't know, and to be fair, Crumbog, you might not know. I've designed my own board. I designed my own TKL, and that's why I ended up putting this up for sale, is to be able to fund some of the bits on that are coming with it. So I bought the case feet and stuff like that fairly recently. With the funds from the group buy, but I thought maybe a second board might be quite nice, so I had to buy all of the components to go along with that. So the black Limo connectors and stuff like that aren't cheap. So my board has got a Limo connector at the back rather than a normal USB out. I do have to say this: the KBD8xII, for the money that it costs, you're getting a board that's on TX levels. It's really beautifully finished. Like the plate and the actual weight, they've got a excellent finishing to it and everything. Got to go have dinner. We'll be back in a bit. Cool. See you later, dude. As I was saying before, the actual anode finish on the case is really well done as well. No blemishes from what I could tell. I mean, much better compared to the Mark 1 of the board. The Mark 1 of the board, it had anodization issues. It was just a bit hit and miss on what you got, really. Whereas this The anode is perfect all the way over. The weight is perfect. They've included some nice little extras. The box is well designed. It's thought out. The only thing that I kick myself about with this board is I was actually one of the people who had the polycarb version, and I sold the polycarb version when they ran into a round of problems with it. So when they first released the board, it got delayed heavily. They're having huge problems with the board. The polycarb version of this board, not the aluminium version of it, and it got delayed, like crazy delayed, and so I decided to jump ship and sold the board to Daniel. Daniel at the time was nuts for a polycarb TKL, and so I sold my spot to him, and I jumped onto the C3, the C3 Zero that's going to be shipping next week, and well, that's exactly the problem. Is that the polycarb version of this board of the 8X is already gone, and the C3 has still yet to ship, and so I sort of shot myself in the foot really when being impatient when I could have already had a polycarb board here. So is this going to be a home board, or is this going to be a an office board? Or are you going to be taking it to and from the office? Office, home, office, home. Or I guess at the moment, I assume at the moment you're going to be working from home. So, be perfect home office board. Before I do end up actually building the these switches into the, so these switches are going to be going into my C3 Zero when that comes. I am going to be cleaning the legs up before they get here. It's going to be used at home. I'll upgrade from a $10 rubber dome board. Wow. Grunborg, I thought you joined one of my Zeal group buys in the past. Did you not? Or did you buy? Or did you join my Taobao one? I might be getting you mixed up with somebody else here. I thought you joined my my Zeal group buy back in the back last year. I did join the Zeal group buy, but I kept postponing buying a keyboard. Now I finally pulled the trigger. So what happened to the Zeal switches? Did you sell the Zeal switches off, or? I thought I'd remembered you from the Zeal group buy. So have you still got them? I sold them. I realised that I'd rather have linears for now. Yeah, it's good. That's a fair enough choice. I mean, I've gone from tactiles to linears to tactiles to linears, back again. Right at this point in time, I'm definitely a light tactile fan, and linears when I can. The right weight linears though. I think you've gone down the right option of inks. Inks are a great choice. They've got a really nice feel to them. Solid switch has been on the market for a few months now, and spring swapping them really does make them lovely. I had some 72 gram ones a little while ago. I unfortunately sold the board that they had them in it, and realistically I should have kept that. It's annoying again. have a habit of getting boards that I really like and then selling them. I'd like to try a keyboard with tactiles though, either Zelios or Holy Pandas. So Zelios are a little bit different to Holy Pandas. So Zelios, the tactility is right at the very top, and then once you press it, it's gone. It's a bit like Topra. It's like the Topra board here. As soon as you press it, vroom, gone. Whereas Holy Pandas, they've got I'd honestly say that they've got a much better sound, and the tactility is a little bit further down, and it's a bit more rounded. You can sort of feel the pressure building up, and then you hit the actuation point and then it drops. Whereas Zelios, if I show you, you press and then it goes like that. It's like a cliff pretty much, and that tactility can be a bit too much for some people. It can be too strong, if anything. It feels like you put an awful lot of pressure down and then it's gone instantly. But out of interest, would you be coming to the UK Mechanical Keyboard meetup? I know that there's a couple of other Europeaners who are coming along. I don't know if you ever thought about coming along. I actually have Holy Pandas in my hand as we speak. I quite like it's like one big bump, but I like it. Yeah, I mean it is. It's like almost like a massive mound, really. So I bought some T1s recently. So T1s are pretty much Zelio clones. They are Zeo clones at the end of the day, and I found that lubing them really puts them somewhere in between Zelio V2s and Holy Pandas. Sort of a really nicely well-rounded bump, smooth. That is the one problem that Holy Pandas I find have, is that they're a little bit scratchy. They've got a, but because it's such a round bump, it sort of seems to rub along the stem. Like the stem and the leaf rub all of the way, and it's not. It doesn't make it for me sometimes. You've got to break them in a little bit, add a little bit of lube to the sliders, everything. I haven't heard about it, but probably would be nice to meet some of you UK folks in real life. Okay, so sorry, I'm just going to start the music going again. It was meant to be in, what was it, March, that we were supposed to have the meetup, and obviously it we cancelled it because of the coronavirus pandemic. But we moved it, so we have now moved it to the 28th of November, 28th or 24th of November. But on the UK Discord, there's a meetup channel on there. Go have a look. It's looking good though. We had over 100 people down to come along. We had some big vendors, and obviously there was a big venue booked for it, and I believe it's still booked for it. But there's quite a few people coming along, but it'll be a good time out. It's on a Saturday, so I'll be going up on a Friday, having Friday night with some keyboard friends up there, Pexon, stuff like that. He'll be coming up and stuff. We'll have the meetup. We'll have a meal on Saturday, and then normally we'll go out for breakfast and stuff like that on a Sunday. So you can make a long weekend of it, and I guess for you it's not going to be monstrously expensive to fly over if the travel restrictions have been sort of lifted at that time, I guess. But you will be able to try switches out there. I'll probably be bringing along my Holy Pandas board. I'll probably have, I'm hoping that I'll have both of my Ace of Spades at that point, so I'll be able to bring them along. Be right back. Sure. Got a stubborn one here, and I think the pump is getting a little bit slow. So this is something that I wanted to show off to some of the other people that are going to be watching this. So the SSO2 is great, except for the fact that it seems to get gummed up a little bit. And so, in fact, I'll tighten it back up and I'll show you what I'm meaning. It's probably going to have freed it up a little bit, but you press it and it's not got any force. Like, it should be instantly to there. Yeah, you can see what I mean. Like, it's got a little bit like sort of. It's not got a very good pull to it. So if I open it up, probably need to clean out, but oh, you're back. I'd love to try a board with Holy Pandas. Yeah, I mean, the one there has got Holy Pandas, and I'll probably be putting those into one of the Ace of Spades. I'm hoping, at least. Okay, let's just clear this out. But it's why I put some stuff to the side. Let me grab one of these. We've got a lens cleaner. Let's use this one. Let's just give this a quick wipe. Just clean the surface that I'm going to use here. So you probably saw how quickly it was returning there. So I've got some. I've just got some muck off dry lube. Really good stuff. Use it on your bike and use it on your SSO2 too. So all I'm going to do is if I bring this into the middle, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour lube onto the plastic part of the plunger. So you can see that it's really well coated. I'm just going to let it drip off a bit here. So if I put my hand underneath it, you can probably see that it's now covered in lube all the way around. So it's got enough lube on there. All I'm going to do is push it back in. And just tighten her up. Speaking of tactile switches, the Zelios changed a lot from V1 to V2. I have both at home, and the V1's is way more, and the V1 is way more tactile. Oh, really? So, I actually find V2s to be way more tactile, and I find V1s to be closer to Holy Pandas and Lube T1s. So, sorry, I'll just show this off. This is it now. So you can, I don't know if in the camera's picking it up, like how quick it's going now. Like the suction on that is nuts. You should be able to suck up anything with it now. So it's one key thing that I think people need to do is lube your SSO2s. They become next level. Who'd have thought lubing the stuff that you need to use. That's what I meant by V1s being more tactile. The bump on a V1 is way more pronounced. Yeah, I think that V2s have got. I don't know if they're more tactile. I think it's sharper tactility. It's right at the very top, and it takes a lot of pressure to get over that. There's literally no pre-travel, whereas V1s, they probably have a more rounded bump than a V2. I actually want to try and get my hands on some V1, enough V1 Zelios at some point, because I went through a phase of everything had to have stupidly high tactility, and I've actually gone off of that now. I much prefer a board that has got a nicely rounded bump to it. Nicely rounded tactility to it, which is a bit silly, really. Spent all of that time and all of that money buying these really like tactile domes for this and stems for switches for everything else, and now I've come back to what would be premium MX brands, I guess. So let me know if you ever do decide to sell your V1 Zelios. If you've got 90 or so, I might well be interested. I sold them a month ago. Got beaten to it. I'll find some at some point. To be fair, the T1s that I've got, they're not actually that far off of V1 Zelios, and they feel really nice. They've got an excellent sound as well. I'm interested to try some Blueberry switches. I'm interested to see how they're going to feel. From what I've heard from Jay and some of the others, I think they might be a bit hit and miss, but we'll see. We'll see how I like them. I sold them a month ago. Oh, sorry, I read that. I regret it now. Oh man. Seller's remorse. Seller's remorse. I've had that plenty of times over the years. And that's when you just become a hoarder. That's the problem. It is why you might notice that these two boards look pretty identical. They've both got DSO light cycle on them. In general, I see very few boards with Alps. Why are MX switches so much more popular? So MX pretty much, I don't want to say fixed, but made improvements to the switch overall. There's a lot of problems with Alps switches. So the Alps have an inherent flaw in them that when you press the switch down, it almost causes a vacuum and it pulls dust into the switch. And unfortunately, Alps switches really suffer from dust. They, as soon as you get them dusty, they're ruined pretty much. And the other problem is you've got an awful lot of stem wiggle, and the actual keycaps themselves aren't nearly as strong. For instance, I've got a double shot DSA light cycle on there, and I'm not going to be taking. I'm not ever going to be taking the stems off. I took one stem off when I first got them because it wasn't sitting quite right, and I snapped the stem off the top of the keycap, and it's just because there's so little plastic holding it in there. If you happen to get a really tight switch, you just end up snapping the stem off of it. Luckily, Evan had a spare, and I spares because there was loads of people having issues. So he was sending out messages saying, "Don't take your keycaps off, shave your stems down," all of this sort of stuff. The other problem is that Cherry went they took the market really when they brought out the MX switch. It was a new design. It was better. They had better tolerances, everything like that. So they sort of took the market by storm. And when Cherry's patent ran out, a lot of clones came into the market. So you see your Gaterons, your Kales, maybe not your Kale box switches, but early Kales, Greetech, all of those sort of brands. They were all making clones of them, and that's sort of where this community sort of come from, I guess. Being able to have different versions of the switches. And so because of that, nobody's really gone back to Alps. Alps has sort of got left behind, I guess, a bit. Which is a real shame, because some of the Alps switches, like I've got I've got amber Alps in the board. To be fair, I've got two Alps boards. So this one here is the Borsdorf, and that's got NOS SKCL yellows, and they're probably the smoothest switches that I've probably ever used. The issue with them is that the more I use them, the more that I'm going to ruin them. It's a real shame that the switches are so nice, but I can't use them because they will just get ruined over time. It's a shame. I like Alps, yeah, I do too. But for the amber Alps behind me, they're super clicky, and I really love the feel. And I've tried Jay's brown Alps Borsdorf, and that has to be one of the best tactilities out of any tactile switch. The linears behind me, smoothest. They've got a brilliant sound as well. In fact, I should note that I have got typing tests of that, and I'm going to have a second typing test. I'm going to be doing one after this stream of that board to hopefully be able to show off to you what it sounds like. So I did a typing test with just the Borsdorf itself, so the board there behind, just on its own, and I then got some foam, and I'm doing a sound comparison with a little piece of foam installed inside of it. See how the sound differs. I do sort of wish that Alps would have a bit of a resurgence. I think that it did try with DSA Light Cycle, but I think it was. I think the plethora of issues that it had sort of marred its chances a bit. I think it needs to be run with a keycap set that is better quality controlled. Because at the end of the day, people getting keycap sets that they can never take off a board, not really ideal. The other crazy bit is that obviously Signature Plastics made DSA Light Cycle, but the actual colours of the keycaps are different between the Alps and the MX versions, which is nuts. I don't know if they were made in like two completely different like batches, and I don't know really how they add the stems onto the caps, but they're both completely different. So I think they also made a little bit of a boo-boo there, and that all sort of contributed to people not picking the set up. Got a few in a small collection of 17 switches. Ooh, what switches have you got then? What Alp switches have you got? I'm assuming that you've got greens, you've got dampened like creams or dampened creams, oranges, and maybe a blue, something like that, maybe. Let me see. Okay. If you want to take a picture and post it into chat, you're more than welcome to. Obviously, you have to upload it to Imager first, but so we've got two in a little bit rows. I haven't done the ISO key just as of yet because it's orientated slightly differently, so I'm going to have to twist the board round a bit. But we're making some good progress. I'm expecting that a few of these switches are going to be in a little bit tighter, and they're not going to want me to take them out as so easily. So. So let's see what you got. So you've got salmon, dampened white, orange, undampened, clicky white. Oh, very nice. I have a. What I'll do, I'll do you a solid here. In the boxes behind me, just here, I have a Amber Alp. Amber Alps. An Amber Alp switch. I've got one there, and I will include it in the box too. You can have that. In my honest opinion, they are the best of the clickies. They beat blues out. This is my opinion, obviously. They beat blues out, and there isn't any other clickies that are better than them. Whites are okay. They're much the same as blues. But yeah, salmons are definitely up there. Salmons, ambers are definitely up there. Sorry. Saw your salmons thing there. Ambers are. There's a picture somewhere of the what I believe is the Matterhorn that it's got it next to, but it's the Alps hierarchy from bottom to top. Obviously, it's missing a few because there's a few rarer combinations, like rarer ones in there. But generally, the mix is neon green is way off at the top. Then it's amber, blue, brown, orange, salmon, dampened white, cream, dampened cream. I think they might have had green way up at the top there, somewhere near there as well, not like a linear green. Yellow is like way at the bottom for some reason, and then black is above that. So I think it's changed a bit since then, seeing as people have found like NOS versions of them. But in general, like the big top three right now are neon greens, ambers, and browns. In fact, I have got a NOS yellow as well, which I can include if you'd like one. Just say if you don't want them, by the way. I don't mind if you don't want them. I can just include them in the box if you do want them. That'd be awesome. I'm trying to slowly increase my collection. Oof. Yeah, just don't get to theremin goat levels of collection. Documenting, well, I don't know if he has them in his collection, but documenting every type of Zeal switch that has ever been made is pretty damn impressive. The inks I have is V1. Do you know what changed from V1 to V2? I was under the assumption that you had V2s, to be honest with you. I didn't think that these were V1s. The only change between them is loose leaf. So some people complained of loose leaves on the V1s. The ones that I've pressed on yours, I don't see any problems with them. I've had V1s before and V2s and had no difference. I think it only affected a very small number of people. But I'm pretty sure yours are V2s anyway, so. No, the ones you bought are V2s, I think. The ones I have at home in my collection of V1s. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think the difference between V1s and V2s is just they've secured the leaf in the V2s a bit more. But I think it was only for people that were really taking the switches apart, possibly ultrasonically cleaning them. People were having issues. I mean, I had issues with my inks and the leaves falling out on my inks that I've got here. But realistically, it was not that big a problem because you can just put them back together. And if you're going to that level of like modding anyway, I don't think you should be too scared about like a leaf falling out. I mean, if you lose the leaf, then that's a problem, but there should be a little bit more care taken, I guess. So we're getting there now. We're nearly up to the final line of switches. And I'm gonna have to alternately do some of these because some of them get like stupidly close to the RGB LEDs and I do not want to be melting any. I know that you probably won't use them, but still I prefer to get it to you in an unmelted state. So I'm going to do one side of them on a few of the switches, and then I'll flip the board around and do the other sides, and I'll be able to do the LED that's on the bottom row here as well at the same time. Sorry, it's coming off there. So now that you've got this one board, what is your next board? Have you got another board lined up or you're thinking about, or will it be a TKL again, or are you going to go something maybe a bit smaller? I'm asking this knowing that that you've still got this board to come to you. So, or are you going to be done for a little while? I haven't thought about it yet, actually, but I quite like TKL. Oh, good. I'm a big fan of the TKL size. It's got a really just nice footprint to it. It's got all of the keys that I need, and my hand now automatically goes. If I need it to go to like the arrow keys, my hand can automatically just find it. I guess I've just got used to it at this point. Music is just finished, so let's just let's start a different one up. Let's go for jazz type music. That sounds good to me. Not bad, eh? And I'll have the what was the other one? Chill type music next. Would you, if you were to get another TKO, would you think about another 8X? I mean, obviously after you've tried this one, you make sure you like it first, but I don't have any doubt that you'll like it. You never know, by that stage I might have the Ace of Spades V2. And I might invite you to the group buy. Never know. Go away, little fly. And there's a little fly, and it seems desperate to commit suicide onto this this hot soldering iron for some reason. Seems dead set on it. I'm guessing. I guess you just decided what I'm having next. Well, I did say maybe there. There's still the possibility that I might not do it. I've got to get past round 1 first. Can't immediately jump into round 2. But building your own board is quite hype, I have to say that much. So when it was coming to your choice, what did you choose inks? I wanna hear your reasoning behind choosing inks here. I mean, there's a lot of good switches out there. There's creams and I mean, Tangerine V2s have just come out, and you've got. I mean, obviously you've got vintage blacks and you've got H1s that are all out there in the wild at the moment. So why inks? Well, since I've never had a custom board before, take this with a grain of salt. I think the inks have a great sand profile, and people describe them as really smooth. Yep, no, you're exactly bang on with that. There's the 3 top switches that I had in mine, in my category for a little while, were you had Telios, you had inks, and you had creams. And so creams were the best sanding of all 3. Telios were the smoothest, quite easily, of all 3. And inks sat slap bang in the middle. And they are incredibly smooth. They're not far off of Telio levels of smoothness, but they've got that sand profile almost similar to creams. Creams have got a very distinct sand. They've very got a very vint blacks, sort of cherry MX, like reds, like blacks sort of sand. Very distinctive sort of sand where you've got quite a lot of, like, not rubbing but friction with the switch. Yeah, cherry switches sound great as well. I'm a big fan of cherry switches. The only thing that really lets them down is that they're not smooth. You have to break them in for long periods of time, and normally it's like the only option for them is like going vintage, and unfortunately vintage is a lot of money now. People have jumped onto the hype train of vintage, and it's expensive to get them. To get decent ones as well. And the problem with creams now is that obviously Tifu's got his board with creams in it, and so made everybody go nuts for them. I actually bought a batch of vintage blacks a few months ago, but I was not impressed, to be honest. Maybe it was a bad batch, but some of them were really smooth while others felt bad. Yeah, it is just going to be what boards you got them from, whoever got them from. I found that, like, quite a lot of the time. Weiss vintage blacks are trash. They're not smooth whatsoever. I don't know if it's that they're from a certain batch or what have you, but they're quite scratchy. Even after cleaning them, they're not that smooth. And then from some Cherry G80 boards that I've had from Ross, like they're some of the smoother switches that I've had. I think it's definitely a case of that you've just got to be lucky with Vince. Do you know what board drawer Vince came from? I have one cream switch also. It has a weird sticky feel, I think. It's an old version, so maybe the better now. No, so you've got the exact same as what everybody else has. So inks, you generally have to break them in. They have a leathery feel to begin with, and it takes quite a few presses to just break the switch in to feeling like a normal switch. It's just how creams were made. All right, so I'm going to just quickly turn this off, and we're ready for the pull-up. I've got my switch puller in here. So here it is. So all we're going to do is start popping switches up. And let me get a little pot to put the switches into. Switches there. Okay, let me just lock them into there. But no, what you've got is standard. That one doesn't want to come up, does it? That one does. No, you don't want it. There's going to be an awful lot of me saying, no, you don't want to, with these switches. The plate's relatively tight as well, so they're coming up, most of them, pretty easily. No, that one doesn't want that. Nor do you. I don't know where my Vints came from. I actually bought them from VintKeys.xII. I've never heard of VintKeys.xII before. That one doesn't want to. Nor do you. Nor do you. There's a whole line of them. Alright, let's try going for after I've done the. Don't know. Sorry, yes, you can't see very well here. So all I'm doing is I'm just getting on either side. So if the stem, I'm just getting it either side, pressing it, pulling, and it's the way that they're made. They've got, I don't know if you're going to be able to see very easily, but there's like a little latching leg there. So all I'm doing is pushing the little latching part there, and there's a latch on the front here as well. I'm just pressing on either side. Hey Andy, how you doing? I'm not too bad. How are you doing? Thank you very much for the package, by the way. I didn't notice it until I decided to go out to the garage quickly. So thank you very much for dropping that off. I showed it off on stream earlier. I'll show it off again. I definitely want the little gold bit to be like double the size. I want it to be more prominent. I want you to be able to see it around the switches after they're installed. sent you a DM in Discord. Oh, sorry, oh, no, I haven't got a new DM. I must have had an old one. I'll have a look in a minute after I've finished the stream. What does that one? That one does. You do. So do you. Was a pick of double thick. Ooh. Double thick sounds good. Very much the amount of thickness needed. Quite a lot of ones that do not want to come up, so I'm just going to have to throw a little bit more solder onto them and see if I can get them to get the legs to detach from the holes. Isn't retool blacks almost as smooth as vintage blacks nowadays? I would say probably they're close, but not quite. I mean, good vintage blacks are really good. I mean, you can get relatively close. Switch apart. What are you doing with this KB? So this is the KBD8xII, and I've sold it to Kronberg, who is in the chat. So I'm currently just desoldering it. He has sent me some. Well, I keep saying he has sent me some switches. I bought some inks off of eBay for him. There was a seller, and so I'm just desoldering it. Give people an idea on how the process of desoldering works. But I'm just prepping it ready to be built next week on stream. And so the reason I've sold it is I possibly have the opportunity to buy a second Ace of Spades. Salvin has said that he's bought more material than he needs, as he does with every project, just in case something goes wrong. But he's expecting there to be no problems, and I'm hoping that I will be able to buy a second board off of him, which would be mighty fine. Okay, so let's just flip this around, see if we can get a bit better hold on some of these. No, definitely not coming up. That one is though. Oh, that one's attached as well. No, that one's definitely attached. The spacebar is firmly in there. Yeah. It's always worth just flipping it around and trying from the other side, because like that one, it's just the fact that the latching mechanism is just a bit too tight on the plate. Like that one again. That one wasn't even attached. Neither was that one. That one is though. That one definitely is. The lock switch 100% is. That one isn't though. Okay, and the ISO enter. Perfect. So what I'm just going to do is I can see some of the ones here. They've got still a little bit on there. Sick 2 would be awesome. Yes, 2 is always better than 1. Pocket aces is better than 1 ace. So. Vintage blacks are hard to come by though. Yes, relatively hard to come by. Good vintage blacks are hard to come by. There is an awful lot of good vintage blacks on Met Market. Unfortunately, just the state of Met Market really. There's an awful lot of people with switches where they think that they're great, but realistically could be much, much better. solder right in the deep part of this. Not affecting it though. If you do ever find good vintage blacks, keep hold of them. And you'll feel when they're good vintage blacks, they'll feel like Telios. They'll feel super duper smooth, and it's very easy to know that they're good vintage. Okay, we're nearly done now. You can quite easily see the ones that have got a little bit of solder on. It's difficult to see, but all it is a case of doing is adding a bit more solder, reheating, sucking the solder off. Sorry, I keep putting my head over the top. It's just to be able to see which pad has actually got solder still on it, so that I can just get a good idea of which ones aren't going to move and which ones are. All three of them do not want to move still. I can see why for that one. Got a bit on there. The great part about this this solder that I'm using, it's got a really good reflow rate. I am using 320 degrees, so it should reflow no matter what, but you can probably reflow this stuff at like easily like the mid 200s if you're willing to hold the iron there for a little bit longer. It's also what I now use for all of my soldering work. PEXon recommended it to me a little while ago, and so since then it's been my go-to solder, and it's also not that expensive. And you generally buy it in like 4 to 6 reels at a time, and so this reel has lasted me a good few months now. We're like soldering people's boards together and everything. So okay, these are coming out nice and easy now. So there's only what, 5 switches left now? Just 5 switches left in the board there. Oh sorry, 6 switches. So these will start coming out nice and easy now. To be fair, I think I've solder set that one already. I have. See if that one comes out. Yep. So we're on to, oh, this one's loose. This one's just not wanting to move. There we go. Perfect. So I think we're on to the top row now. Saying that this one doesn't look to have any on it, but I'll just do this side because it could well be just this bit that's not wanting to move. Felt that it come apart. Just got to be careful here, just to not let the switches get too loose, so that they're gonna sort of not just fall out, but act as a hinge for the plate and the PCB. That's perfect. That one is. And so the last one is here. Oh, I can see why. Both of them have got a little bit of solder on. Just not sort this up completely properly. There's one of the switches. And the lock just does not want to come loose. There's still a little bit of solder in the corner. What I should be able to do is, there we go. So we've now got two distinct pieces. So we've now got the PCB. So that's the PCB desoldered. I'm going to give it a bit of a clean up this evening. But it is pretty much ready for phase 2. And then we have got, there's the last switch. Then we have got the plate. So that's the plate there. Flip it over. So I'm going to give the plate a little bit of clean. It's got a couple little bit of grubby finger marks here and there. But that's it complete, realistically. And that's the board desoldered. So I'm going to flick the iron off. And there's no typing test, so it's all a bit strange for me, because I'm normally used to doing a typing test and then signing off after that. But that's the board desoldered. So if you've enjoyed tonight's stream, please go and have a watch of the content that I have on my own YouTube channel. I'll link it in the chat. So this is my YouTube channel. That's my YouTube channel there. The vlog of this will be uploaded there, but I've got typing tests and other content. I've got old keyboard building streams on there if you want to watch some more. But I hope you've enjoyed tonight the desoldering, and I hope that for those who've watched, it's enlightened them a little bit on how to desolder, what things to do. SSO2 is definitely one of the key things to purchase if you're going to be doing desoldering work. But yeah, as Kronberg says, as long as the stuff turns up this week, I will be streaming the rebuild of that next week. And the rebuild process is going to be with Gateron inks, lubed, spring swapped Gateron inks. But he's sending me over all of the bits. Hopefully it gets it. If it doesn't, we have got backup, which is desoldering this board here, which has got Holy Pandas in it. I'm going to be swapping, possibly putting some tangerines into them. So we'll see how that goes. But current plan is to rebuild the 8X for Kronberg. But it'll be next Saturday at 7 o'clock, so stay tuned for then. But I hope you have a good rest of the weekend, and I hope that that it's pretty chill. So enjoy, and see you all later. Bye guys.